Welcome everybody to another one of our Materials for the Arts artist conversations. I'm John Cloud Kaiser from Materials for the Arts, and I'm super excited this evening to bring with you a conversation and a tour of the artwork of Konstance Patton. And thank you, Konstance, so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and I love the background there. You're already like immersed in one of your art pieces. So I understand, like, we're gonna get a chance tonight to watch a film that Konstance has made, documenting some of the artwork and experiences that we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to get to see some of her work, and we're actually going to get a chance to even see into her art studio. So thanks to you all for joining us. As you may know, Materials for the Arts is this giant reuse facility for free art supplies in Queens, in Long Island City. It's run by the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs. And if you're an arts organization or a school, you should be able to sign up to come get free art supplies for your project. So every month we have a conversation with a different artist that reuses materials and just kind of learns a little bit more about what they do and gives everyone a chance to be inspired by the cool stuff that they get into. And so tonight we're so psyched to have you, Konstance. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm very excited. I love Material for the Arts. I've used you guys so many times over the years. It's like really sweet to be here. Thanks.
That's right. And so like you were doing like different teaching gigs or art projects, and you'd come and do the whole thing, right? Like get the free supplies and like the shopping cart.
Yep, the shopping cart. Bring your own bags. Yeah, it was good. I think the first time I went was when I worked for Weeksville Heritage Center. It was probably 2010. I think I worked there around then, 2009. And yeah, they were like, oh, there's this place in Queens. You can go and get all the supplies. And I was running art programs with different students every day. So they would come and do the field trips there. And then I did a workshop. So it was really a great resource. And then after I found out that it existed, I taught at South Shore High School, Brooklyn Theater Arts High School, did workshops for Nassau County Museum, Central Park, like so many places. And every time, I got to do some type of work with them, I always look to Material for the Arts, because you can find such cool stuff, and it's always different, So it's kind of like you got to be on your toes when you see what's there and see what you can make out of it. So it's definitely, I think I have things in the stool right here that this is on, which I got from Material from the Arts.
Well, that's hype. And I mean, basically, like, you obviously have done like so many different projects over the years. And I first became aware of your work this summer when you were doing murals on like the boarded up windows and stuff in Soho during the Black Lives Matter protests. And I just thought that was so cool because it was like, thinking about like just what you're describing, like these public projects that, art where it's like, in the community, and it's not, it's for all these different audiences and kids or adults or different things. And but just this idea of protest, and then like just doing it on plot, like transforming something that already has like kind of a negative thing into something positive. But yeah, I mean, I guess we're going to talk about a lot of things, but maybe right off the bat, if you could just tell us a little bit about personally your experience with doing all those art projects this summer, and then it led to you, this amazing space and team you work with now. I don't know, it sounds really cool.
It's been a dream. I mean, it's like a dream that came out of 2020's nightmare, basically. Yeah, so everything was shut down, as we all know. And after George Floyd was killed, the city, in cities all over, there were riots and protests. And so I really love working on wood personally. It's been something that I've used in my practice for many years. When I was like 18 and 19 in Detroit, I've been in New York since 2005. When I was a kid, I would drive around and look for wood panels. So when the panels went up, kind of two things. It was like, for one, it was very traumatic to see the city, especially New York City, completely boarded up. It was I mean, I thought of like Detroit, being a kid and seeing some of the buildings there boarded up, and how some of the artists there in the communities responded by going and like repurposing that tragedy into something beautiful. So things like the Heidelberg Project on the east side of Detroit, which has expanded like crazy, but it's a guy, he had this old house and he would take like reused weird materials. It was creepy. It was fun though, like doll parts, pots and pans. And he would paint the house, like this big house was installation. So, I think like that idea of going and also taking ownership of your own space, without waiting, kind of was my approach. And then also like it's better to see something beautiful than, like you said, it's a negative. It was negative, like to see everything boarded up was very scary. So it's a form of protest, but more, more along the lines of like trying to support protests too, because I know that they were going to be walking and support people that were just outside. It was really crazy. So I'm actually, behind me is one of the boards. I did this one. This is 12 by 18. And that's I think it's like maybe 10 panels. Beautiful. And that was on the corner of Mercer and Grant. So I just went out and started painting, and eventually met another group of artists. I met a ton of artists, but a group of artists in particular, and we ended up organizing, and we started a collective called SoHo Renaissance Factory. So I'm actually in the factory right now, and there's plywood, but then there's also like our personal works. But that's how it was all born from this. Actually, this is the first piece I did here. It's on the cover of Kurt Boone's book, Fresh Plywood. And he said that the streets smelled like fresh plywood. And it did. It was crazy. This piece, Imani, I did in front of Victoria's Secret. The first one I did, it was stolen like in 3 days. So then people started to commodify this like protest work. It was really said a lot,
Yeah. No, well, I mean, but to me, I feel like besides the actual just work, like doing its job in public, it's also like a really interesting, just statement on what an artist is and the life of an artist, and even just the thrill you can get out of being like making a difference for good, like just being involved, like in the sense that someone, it'd be like you said, becomes even a commodity, it becomes even like something that people, I mean, for lack of better, it could be inspiring, like it's become something that other people want to like get fired up by, but lots of different things. But to me, I just think it's so, like it takes the painting out of it just being the painting, and now it thinks about where the painting is physically located, what's it painted on, there's so many layers right there. It's so awesome. So, I mean, I know Bliss, I think you got some images, that we could watch, like check out some examples of Konstance's work.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, yeah. So I shared a few of the works, and it's so crazy to see them again. Actually, the works that I shared, I don't have any of them. After the first piece came down, it was confusing. Like I was like, oh, great, they're gonna open back up, but that wasn't the case. A few days after that, more and more pieces were taken. But these pieces, yeah, it's like pretty wild to see them. The first one was on Grand and Mercer. And that's actually the first piece that I did kind of in collaboration with my team. It was July 4th. We weren't like a team yet. We just were painters on the same street. We just kept showing up every day and then started sharing tools. And I mean, a month later, that's when we really decided. So this is actually, it's so crazy. This piece here that's behind me is the replacement for the one that you're showing, because the one that you're showing was taken about 6 a.m. by a team, like some guys put up in a truck. And so when they replaced the boards, I did another one because I want the work up. It's better that it's almost a sacrifice. It's like I would rather them, have beautiful work there than just board it up. Like it's like shocking to see. Yeah. So this is I did this. It's the two goddesses. I've been doing the goddess project for about 20 years. It was born out of like just watching women when I moved to New York and seeing how the adornment of women in the city, and how there's so many women from all over the world, all types of backgrounds, kind of in this space, just trying to hustle and make a life for themselves. And so I was inspired by the adornment, and I've traveled to many places doing street art. I was a bartender for years, and just like so many people were artists, and I saved my money and would go and travel and do street art. So I kind of like looked at the things that women will wear, and it's like we all want a red lip and eyeliner, but other than that, there's a lot of differences. So it's also in support of the movement, because there's a lack of representation for Black women in public art in these spaces. And so you know, all of a sudden I have to wait for permission. I just started going crazy with them and putting as many up as I can. So these two are the sisters of justice, and they're holding a scale that is made wrong because the justice system is like is wrong. There you can't do anything with it. So this is like yeah, I remember doing this piece. It was really hard. It was really high in the air. It's kind of hard to tell there, but the ledge is about 5 feet up off the ground.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, it was really fun though. And this one's the goddess Kendra. This is actually the second piece I made. So after I did the Imani piece, the Imani piece which is the one on fresh plywood. So the first day, there were a lot of artists out. There were probably, when I came on that Sunday at 10 a.m., there were probably 200 artists out creating. And they were different community organizations that had, you know, kind of like rallied to get supplies. Everything was closed. So I got the call to do that. They were, you know, painting on the boards, and I came out and, you know, kind of like got some paint from Westwood Gallery and the SoHo Broadway initiative. So they were like really champions
Nice.
for me. And, you know, so the next day it was like quiet. There was no more artists out. The first day I was there, it was 200. The next day it was me. And then I saw one other artist working on that corner. So this was on Howard between Broadway and Mercer on the, and it was like on one of there's a skateboard shop there. So I put her there. And it was like, it was crazy because all of a sudden it was like I can kind of do my studio work and really take time and think about what I wanted to put up, as opposed to before when it's like graffiti or street art where you're just like throwing something up there, trying to finish it as fast as you can. So this one, yeah, I'm not in possession of this one either, but it's kind of the first one where I realized that it was safe for me to be out. I also was very strategic. I was told about these blocks by a guy, Damien, who is a photographer who was documenting the first day I was out. And he worked for Nike as security. And so he said, you know, we got the whole street blocked off if you come down there and paint. So I went down there, and this is the first piece I did. I ended up doing like, I think 10 pieces on Mercer Street after that. Just like the whole block. I had like my own private street museum.
Awesome.
And you know what's so crazy? She's blue because everything was closed. There, you couldn't get paint. So I had a lot of blue paint. And then I had like some gold spray paint from my old like graffiti bag. But it was crazy. Like it was a practice in using what you like, what can you do with what you have, you know?
And also just the image of like walking down the street in Soho where normally everything's like kind of this like almost like a shopping mall, but like all of a sudden it's like everything's boarded up, literally. You know what I mean? You're just like, what the, you know, what?
It was scary. I mean, it was really scary. It was absolutely scary. Because you know, I mean, when I came here, when I moved to New York in 2005, like literally every single corner was taken. Every little crevice of a property was full with some type of business selling cupcakes or whatever. And all of a sudden it just was done, you know, because, you know, Soho is certainly, it's a community. I've learned more and more about the actual community here. And this is it really brought the community out because all of a sudden there was something to do that was safe. People felt safe. and it was an outdoor activity. So it almost took on a performance element, knowing that I can go down there and put up something that people can interact with. Maybe it'll stay up. We'll see how long it stays up. But it made people so happy. And then all of a sudden, like, this community in Soho started to connect with each other. You know, it's been a mall until 2020. So it's tourist driven. And I mean, you can see it now, the implications of that, because a lot of the a lot of the Broadway corridor is empty, you know.
I got a question for you. What do you think about this idea? There's like a program that's, if it hasn't started already, maybe it got kind of like stutter stepped for the quarantine or whatever, but it's supposed to be that like any city building that's under construction, like it's artists can apply to you to do artwork on the walls that they put up during the construction period. I feel like that's like a new initiative.
I haven't heard about that. They should though, because I mean,
Yeah.
I actually don't know about it because I consistently put pieces up. I put up 3 pieces this week. Yeah, and
I don't think it's started yet. But
yeah,
that's something to think about.
sure,
I
I'll
mean,
look into it.
it sounds like a cool idea if it actually worked out, but I don't know why it hasn't started. But it sounds.
So you mean on the like the green?
Yes.
Like wood? Yeah, yeah. I'll look into that. I haven't heard that yet. I know that there's some other initiatives happening as far as like, you know, activating things outside, but I haven't heard of that. I know that some artists and galleries are kind of playing with the storefronts, you know, for sure. Like there's definitely like opportunity to use them in some way, but yeah, it's weird. I think a lot of the people left too. So it's pretty visible. It's pretty visual, like who is open. You know, you can see by the graffiti, there's so much graffiti, right? So if like on the Broadway corridor, for instance, you can see who's not there because there's graffiti on the windows. You know, the buildings aren't really being maintained.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's
I got a question for you. So like, I mean, you talked to me about this before, but just like the idea of like doing art outdoors, like that idea, like the value in that, like, would you mind just tell me a little bit more about like your feelings on that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think especially right now, I love public work the most, and I think it took me a long time to figure out where I actually wanted my work to be as an artist. I studied independently. I worked under artists as an apprentice for years. I worked with Amorphic Robot Works as the studio assistant, producing. It's like restoring an old church. It's an old church from the 1800s, and helping to rebuild some of the robots there. And you know, also, you know, and that the things that we were doing there were like inside, it's really really beautiful, but I didn't know where I wanted my work to be. Like, did I want to be in a building, or, you know, no one really talks about that. Like I went to the new school, I graduated, studied at Parsons, and they still didn't really talk about it. I was in the Art Students League. They didn't really talk about how are you an artist, because I think that we're told that to be an artist is you have a show in Chelsea, you know, pinkies up, and you're successful. And I think I had to really consider, where do I want my work? Who do I want my work to who do I want to share my work with? And I want to share my work with the people. So street art for me is really important because it is just open for anyone. It's inclusive, and you know, it's beautiful. It makes the streets look beautiful. So, you know, that's why I really love public art. I love street art. I like graffiti too. I like all, you know, expression that's shared with the people, because, you know, you don't have to sign up or feel like any fear or unwelcomeness towards that world, which, you know, frankly, that exists. You know, I know when I moved here, when I was a kid, and I say kid, I was in my 20s. You know, when I was 22 and I came here, I was scared to go in some museums or galleries. They're very intimidating for me, you know, and then I didn't always feel welcomed or anything. And I was super rough around the edges, and, you know, all those things that don't matter, but, you know, they can matter. So there's many ways that you can make work. You just have to figure out, like, each artist has to decide where they want their work. Some people want their work online. Some people want their work in books. Some people want them in the magazines, you know, or on advertisements. So for me, I want my work, I want to share with the people. So a lot of the mural projects I've done in the past were like teaching. So even like I did a mural in October in Detroit. It was a memorial for my friend. It was a celebration of her life, Dana Elam. And, you know, basically I taught the enlarging technique to her family. It was very small. It was beautiful. And, you know, so that's something that's like accessible. And a lot of times people don't even know that they're artists or they want to be, and they've been told, we're told what art is and what it's not so much. And, you know, like if you don't do a perfect portrait, you know, sometimes when you're a kid and you're in a class or family or friends and they're like, oh, that doesn't look as good, you know, you're not an artist. And it starts to dig at you. So the projects I'm doing is to like really show people you can do it. Because I have many people come up to me saying that they want to paint murals or they want to paint, and I'm like, are you an artist? And they're like, well, not really. And I'm like, well, you can claim it. It's like, who, you know, if you're out here creating something with your brain and your hands or however it is that, you know, you execute it, like you're an artist, that is valid, you know. So that is really, really, really important for me. But that's why right now I'm just like, I am focused on outside. I come inside and I do my work, but I'm focused. I'm always looking for spaces that I can share, you know, this work with the world.
So awesome. I mean, I love the idea. I love the idea of you being like just like hanging out with a family, with a friend, like making art together.
That's
That
right.
concept of it being like fun, something fun to do, you know, like that's key. And like you definitely, you know, your work inspires that for sure.
Thank
And
you.
your whole
And it's
practice.
community building, you know. It like, I remember doing, when I first started doing them, it was at Weeksville Heritage Center, and I did a mural of I love repetition too, man. I love repetition. I love like taking one thing and then making it in a different way and then changing that and sketching it. And I have like some things I'll share a little later that have that idea. So I had one of the a sculpture that I illustrated that I blew up into a mural, and then I basically set up Dixie cups with paint, you know, and as people came by, kind of like, what are you doing? Hey, you want to help? Yeah, yeah. And I had people, you know, working, and in the conversations that they had was actually what I wanted out of it. I could do the piece myself, you know, probably easier, but it was really, you know, valuable for me to see two people that didn't know each other that lived on the same block, or, you know, somebody's kids hanging out all of a sudden. And so that's really like a big part of the practice itself too, is actually like getting the community back like together and building it stronger, and kind of like just having conversations. They talk about the weather or hair or whatever, you know, and like it's really like that is the most satisfying thing to me, you know.
That's like when I first met you, is when you were doing like the action paintings like right outside of Amy's place, Fringe, and like on Broome. And it was like you were just like, people were just walking up to you and like chatting with you and asking you about your work, and it was like, it was definitely like drawing people in, you know what I mean, for sure. Like, and so not only were they looking at, I mean, that seems like just, it was just seemed like a very living experience, you know. It's like the art was being made, there's a person talking, it's like outdoors.
We had music.
It was awesome.
It was fun. Yeah. That was the whole thing. It was like when I got that commission, it was like, well, I can make it. I can make it in my studio, but the nature of the project is outside. So it was, you know, I was like, well, what if I make it outside in the same vein as what I'm doing in SoHo? Because I still was this is summer, last summer, so we were very much still active, painting on plywood boards. There was a ton of boards still up. And yeah, it was just to kind of, we didn't promote it. I made a invite, like a flyer, but it was like literally for posterity. We didn't share it. And I got my friend Honeychild Coleman to come, and she like pulled up with her guitar and amp in like a laundry basket, and then her mic, and like did a couple sets. And it was like Amy made some drinks, and then we sat, you know, we spread out seats, and then we just played. And so kind of all these people from the community, I don't know them. I didn't talk to many of them. Some people talked to me, you know. I was kind of like focused. Other artists showed up as well, and were like, "Can I paint?" I'm like, yeah, man." So they would go and come back with like found materials, like some wood they found somewhere, and there was like, it was just joyous. It was like really joyous in a time that everything was so dark and scary, and then you kind of had this like these pockets of some like true DIY, like, and some of the materials from the arts.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I used the wood, and I think like there was like a map thing that we ended up we couldn't use it because it was too windy. But it was like we tried to use it, you know. So it was really great. Like thanks, you know.
Listen, I mean, this stuff is just so fun. Like, you know, so I want to make sure we have time to play this
Yeah.
documentary film that you've created. I don't know if you'd like to introduce it just
Yeah.
briefly, and then we'll watch it.
Yeah, I'm excited. Thank you. It's called Voices of the SoHo Renaissance. It's my directorial debut. It was shot by Baron Claiborne, and it features me and my team right before we had our exhibition at the National Arts Club, which was a wonderful exhibition that we did in I think it opened in December, and it featured the plywood board. So I wanted to give an opportunity for the artists to tell their stories. I also love collecting stories. I'm an oral historian, so this was kind of like this is a very condensed version of a larger project I'm working on. So yeah, I'm happy to share with you, and it kind of gives you an insight of what was happening from the artist.
So well
Thank
done
you.
too. Beautiful, you know, work and just the creation of that film. You know, it's another meta layer to it all. That's awesome.
It's been a time for like, I think pushing it as far as you can. Like I wanted to make a film for many years and I didn't know how to do it or any of that, and kind of you just gotta start. You just start, and I found I was like, oh wait, I have like very talented, capable friends that can help me pull this off, and um you know, I'm really really happy with it. Thank you. I'm glad I get to share it with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's just awesome. So now my understanding is like it could be possible for you to potentially like literally just move your camera around and actually give us a tour because
Yeah.
you're in your base of operations, right? Like the
Yeah.
actual.
I'm in the factory. Yeah, I will give you a
It's
tour.
it's in Soho, right? So it's like where was it again? It's the Soho.
So
The
we're in a partnership with Nomo Soho Hotel, which is on Crosby between Grand and Howard, and we painted all around this hotel, like next to it on the corner of Grand and Crosby, and they stayed open the whole time. So you know, when we organized, we were kind of trying to think of the things that artists need, and it's space, right? It's like you need housing, and you need closed housing, and you need a studio. And so, some of us are in residence here, living here, and then, but we all share this creative space, and you know, they've been like in our corner the whole time. It's really, really beautiful, you know, and I come from the service industry, so it was really kind of a great partnership in trying to think about the community, but also like their community here in the hotel, and you know, kind of support the regrowth of that. So we have about 16 pieces installed right now throughout the hotel. Murals, like some of the plywood boards, the originals are up, and then this is our space. So I'll walk around the space, and I'll actually start out here on this table. I have some of the original goddesses that I've done. This is one. So like I said, I love repetition. This is one based on preserving materials. And I was raised by my grandmother. I'm Iroquois. I'm part of the Little River Band of Ottawa Indians. And one of the things that was important to me was like to preserve her work. So she did bead work. And so these are actually beads and like bells that you get it. I got them at a powwow. And so this is like another version of it.
Mhm.
And I love working with wood. It's on birchwood, which is sacred for me. And this is an older goddess, and it's based on this bronze that I did which is the original. So this is a bronze, and then I like, so this one is in cement, and then the one I have here with the beads in it is with resin. So these are, I probably did these when I first moved to New York. And yeah, I was doing like a lot of bronze work. And then I actually have some illustrated ones as well. So this is like, I think probably a really early version of the ones I have out now in the streets, which is like, they're actually altars. So when I'm putting them up, I'm actually thinking about like the healing, like healing the people, healing the city. And it's like very intentional. These are a couple of the other goddesses, and these are done in gouache.
Oh, wow.
But again, like thinking about, you know, adornment, to see adornment that we have as women. Then I have a couple more I'll show before I move on.
This is great.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'll like pick you up for a ride. Okay.
No.
So this is was where I was actually sitting. And if you can see here, these are a couple of the pieces that I've worked on. This one here it's actually in wax, the one here. On wood panel. Then I have the gold one on wood. And these were done about 6 years ago. And this is the more recent one I'm working on with gold leaf. And this is part of a series that I'm working on. You know, they're all on wood. I want to, it's like I want to honor the tree also, you know, and give it another life. So behind me here are two other panels. This one here, she was on Wooster and Houston right after the election, because they boarded up again after the election, as well as this one. So I put her up after the election as well. Everything started to get boarded up again on Halloween. Actually, it was like real creepy. And then this is another example of one that was on the door at Alexander Wang. And she actually has a companion piece, which is one of my partners. So this is Sule. This is his piece. So he does these warriors and I do the goddesses. So a lot of times we'll like pull up at the same time and then, you know, do the whole block. But this is like our space. As you can see, it's an old bar and we've repurposed it to use it as our art studio. It's pretty private now, but we certainly are open to visits with a schedule. And then these are some of the other boards that the other artists did.
And those are big. Those are really big.
They're so big. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are all, yeah, all of our, we all have like very large format work, which is, you know, that's one of the reasons why we move the studio around so much. So if you actually come in the studio one day, if you come back the next day, it'll probably look different because we're always like shuffling. This is actually, I'm gonna show you Sule's piece. This is one of my favorites. It's like shuffle. Okay. I wish he was here, but I don't know where he is right now. They're all like giving me space. I was like, you can be here. Okay, so this one here says, my art is not a crime. This one was on, I think like when I met him, he was doing this piece actually. And that work, along with some of the other ones, are actually on display on the Broadway corridor and around Soho. We have 25 pieces up on, you know, like the flag poles, or they're like the light poles. Yeah, so we have pieces up there. This piece here, and the studio's in use right now. We're like building out frames. We like, the guys found a way to build these like frames out. So like here, they're like floating frames on the work. So this one I did on November 1st. And so after people started taking the works off the wall, I decided that if there were any that had like a lot of value for me, to just like take them. So a couple of the ones that I have here are like an example of that. Like the one that I just showed in the back, Mildred, she's based on my grandmother. I put her up, and then once, you know, a few days went by, I took it off and they just did another one. you know, because people took most of them, but it's more important for me to put the work out there, you know. Like I don't want to. Even the thought of ownership with street art was like really messing me up, but it's actually in context of well, like we're working to preserve the work based on what happened. You know, it's like we were ill-equipped to handle so many things, and it manifests last year. And so it's actually about like preserving these works for the historical context of them.
I mean, I think it's like you just got to make a judgment call. People, you know, it's like, and to me, it's like the artist is the best person to make that judgment call because it's their work, so they get to decide in a way, you know.
Yeah, and some are up. Like I did a piece on at Union Square this week on Saturday, and me and Amir went, and it's across from Paragon. There's this boarded up coffee shop that's been boarded up for months. And it has like ugly black paint on it. It looks like there might have been graffiti or somebody wrote something and then they blacked out that part. And it looks like trashy, you know? And so I went this weekend and I put up a really beautiful piece. Amir put up 2 pieces. And then like it was covered by probably a super or somebody. But the thing is, like, when we did it, it even for that moment, even if it didn't last that long, it was so worth it. Because when we started to paint, it built a community. Like people started sitting on the there's like some barriers or something there for the street because it's not green streets, but it's like that one, it's like a little tiny street, so not much traffic. And there were like a mother and daughter having lunch, and like kids stopped by, and then artists stopped by asking about process and materials. And you know, I think I was there for probably 2 hours. And for those 2 hours, like it was a vibe. I had music. I was burning incense. It was like very, you know, very like community oriented. And we made something beautiful. And so, you know, I think in the beginning I was like, what the heck, man? But now I'm like, man, we just really created a moment. It was like a little New York moment. It had a couple days and then it was covered up. But, you know, which is a shame because I'm like, man, it's better to leave the art up than have it just like, you know, I'm like, it's not even like they painted it nice. You know, it was like they just slapped it up there. And this really like it just dulls. I'm like, you just actually are taking something away from the people. Like we need anything we can get right now. You know?
And when somebody paints over something like that, it just creates all the more likelihood that someone's just gonna come and, you know, do something else. And it's like, you know, when people put murals up, it honestly it beautifies the neighborhood. Like you say, it creates community interaction. And not only that, it actually it beautifies stuff. Like people don't go mess that kind of thing up, you know. There's a couple comments that we're getting on YouTube. One from Dario Moore, our most recent artist in residence. He was saying, and he likes that you're painting on the wood, and in a sense, not letting the death of the tree be in vain. I thought that was kind of. I heard you mentioning that.
Yeah,
as well.
it's really important to me. I'm like, yeah, I'm a tribal member, and I'm one of the shaman in my tribe, which is like a pretty new thing for me. So I think like when I was reflecting on my work over the last years, I love the wood just because it is honoring like the earth and trees, you know, and it like repurposes it, and it also gives it a longer life. Like I know that these pieces I made are going to be around for a very long time, you know. So that's very important to my practice, you know.
Like, that's so. I mean, because like materials for the arts, it's all about reuse. And I always to myself say that what's cool about it is the fact that everything has like a story, then like a past. But I honestly didn't. It's true. Even the materials, you know, the living materials that we use, literally wood. I mean, I'm surrounded by wooden objects. Like they were a lot. It's crazy. It's interesting.
Yeah, they were like alive. Yeah. They were like,
you
know, yeah.
Spooky.
I've been using like birchwood and stuff. I've been trying to like get my hands on as much birchwood as I can, but the boards are great because it's like they actually aren't going to be reused. You know, all these people bought the wood and then it's kind of like you saw them in the trash and stuff like that. Yeah. And you know, it was like I was like, oh wait, this is my moment because I really love this material. You know, just I just remember driving around Detroit, like in my car, and seeing like when people would move out and they put their shelving out, and I'm like, oh great, like my oldest ones are on shelves, you know.
Just more comments here, like, so somebody says, I'm wondering if maybe you could coat your work with a clear barrier layer so that if someone covers it up, you could safely remove that covered up layer.
Probably. Can you tell me about it? Hit me in my
That's a clever idea. Like, kind of like you can't
yeah.
paint it over, you go back and clean it up. I think that's actually
That'd
something
be
cool.
cool. Like, I wonder if, like, because I know there's actually a couple of spray paints, because these are done with aerosol and acrylic brush paint, and so that I know that there are some aerosol that like it basically like will eat through anything that goes over it, like the crink.
Right.
But they don't make a lot of colors. But maybe I'll try that out. Yeah, I think I will try that out. Thank you.
It's cool that people are thinking proactively, though. That is
That
cool.
makes sense though. Like, how do you really like? How long can they last? I thought about like maybe putting resin on some of them, but I wasn't sure if it still can be, covered or. Cause yeah, my pieces they get buffed sometimes. But I go do it again. I have a gate on Bleecker Street that I'll do it. It gets tagged. I like do it again. Do it again.
Yeah, I mean that's part of it to me too. That's another way of like accomplishing that is just exactly just showing up. Like keep keep maintaining it. Or so let's see some other comments here. Someone was saying, how challenging do you feel it is to navigate finding organizations that are supporting socially conscious artists?
I think like I've been very fortunate because I think the type of work that I do, I attract the type of people that like that. But it's definitely, you kind of I think it's easier to almost like just kind of do your work and not say too much about it, like say less, because I think that in the beginning, if I'm like, hey, I'm putting these altars out, people might be like, what are you talking about? But once they're out there and it was like there were so many of them, then I'm like, really, I don't have to say it's an altar. I've seen people crying for my work multiple times. I've seen people like just stop in their tracks. I'm like, okay, well, if they can have like a joyous moment in this, everything happening, then that's like a goal for me. So I think like also right now, the temperature is a lot better for really pro message work. I think, and there's many causes because I just get the sense that we're kind of fed up with a lot of the things that were more frivolous that we were I don't know that we cared about more. So even like some of the galleries and some things that we wanted to see before, I think that it's just less popular. So right now is a time for if you have a voice and something to say, like the world is ready for it. There's so much space for it,
That's awesome. And I mean, you and I were talking before about how it's like sometimes there can feel like there's these different barriers, whether it's literally just paperwork required to fill out some application, or whether it's some, weird energy you're getting from like the people that, like, like I don't know, like a store owner, or, like a person or whoever, someone that comes and paints over your thing, but that, there's still like these other forces that are like the people that care that kind of like also like get involved. I mean, it's definitely like to me, it's like I would say to anyone that's interested in doing public art projects, it's like just be willing to navigate some of that kind of like bureaucracy, for lack of a better word, to be able to kind of get through some of those like um, barriers. I know Art in Odd Places is a great like festival also that happens like outdoors of just creative, just weird outdoor projects people want to do. And there's so many other great organizations that fund that stuff, but there's still like a limited amount. So I think the advocacy of the artists that do it is really, like you said, it's like you can talk about it, but when you do it and people see it, it's like they're like, this is so awesome. We need to continue to support this kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe that. I mean, there's certainly there's walls that I have been offered that I show them the work and they're like, oh, I don't know. Like I've had people say some things to me even recently, like oh, well, it's just so strong. And I'm like, well, it's not for everyone. I mean, it doesn't have, if it's not for you, it's not for you. It's for everyone, but I guess it's not for everyone. And so it's really like, I think just start. Like right now is a really great time because there's so many solutions needed. And so you might do something that really can add. And I think like once you really start in earnest, like doing some project you believe in, like no matter what it is, music, painting, like you can go pull up with your guitar in the corner, like you're gonna end up meeting people that are like-minded, and then you kind of like, for me, I love working and I love collectives and like a band. I had a band before, like I am a team player. So for me, it's about finding people that are, like-minded, and then just start small. But if you start, you start.
That's awesome and inspiring. Someone says, thanks for building community. That's how community gardens were created. So that's cool,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
You're welcome.
um, someone actually asked, have you done murals in community gardens? We'd love to have your, work amongst nature.
I would love that. No, I haven't. Not really. I would love that. I am an avid gardener on my fire escape. And please, yeah, I would love that. I love the work in nature so much. That's like and of course like we're in all these buildings, but I think like a lot of the goddesses, one of the pieces I have out in the hotel right now is she's in a lot of plants. She's like, there's a lot of plants here, so like she's like full of foliage, and it fits so well. Actually, another one too, she's like outside, and it really lends itself, like it's so perfect. Thank you. I would love to do that.
I think like, well, yeah, like vegetation and art are these like just refreshing things you can encounter, especially in New York City, where there's this like industrial quality. So like
Mm-hmm.
I'm all for as many community gardens and as much art like as we can get, like to make this, and to honor the beautiful work. It's like, to me, I'm just so appreciative of your work of intending to, like, just do stuff outside, like get it fired up, document it, live
It's
it,
everything for
share it.
me. Yeah. I
So,
mean,
and
it's
your whole
like I
crew,
love it. Mm-hmm.
so to you and your whole crew, I mean, like,
Thank
and
you.
just like everybody that was showing up to do that kind of stuff, it's like so inspiring. So,
It's
you know,
inspiring to me too. I was like, I mean, I don't know how far I would kept going without the guys. Like I met the guys, and it's Trevor, Manny, Amir, KG, Sule, and Brendan. And when I met them, all of a sudden I was like, oh, okay, you coming tomorrow? And because I mean, now don't get me wrong, it was not like, oh, great, let's go paint. It was kind of like everything shut down. uh okay, I can go paint, and kind of load up when things open by paint. And we kept each other going. So it was really like other community members that kept me going, or knowing like the elders that were gonna come down the block every day. There's one guy in this neighborhood, he comes and he's like, I don't know what anyone looks like, of course. They wear their hats, glasses, mask. And he comes and he'll tell you like random facts about the neighborhood every day. And they're always different. And so it was like really a community effort of and the seeing the people working and stuff. The guys that had the carts. There's a landmark cafe over here. Go in there, get coffee. Like it's I think it takes a lot of us to build, but right now, like the world needs beauty. So artists, like, it's our moment.
absolutely. And just so you know, you're getting all these great supportive comments of love
Thank
here,
you.
saying they really appreciate your work, and that's awesome.
I
And I mean,
appreciate
like you're
you.
saying, it's a living thing. So we'll see we'll keep an eye out, and look at the
Mhm.
walls and see what comes next. And if people want to find out and follow your work, they can look up your name. And so I'm sure
Mhm.
you got lots of different opportunities. But one thing is the public screening of this film, amongst other things. So we'll share that information with y'all in the
Thank
future.
you. Yeah. I'm keeping it DIY. I was like, I don't want to put it inside really. I just want it to be outside. We'll do I have like seven screenings now that are gonna start in April, and they'll just be like pop up around the neighborhood like I did, like on some DIY. But I'll have a way for you to actually hear it. So it'll be projected, and then we'll have it like some track you can listen to. So I'm excited. Thank you all so much. We do it for the city, man. I love this city so much. It's a dream. It's so full circle to be here with Material for the Arts because I just remember like going there, like what is this place, you know? And here we are. So I really appreciate you.
Listen, that's what it's all about is trying to, support the work of amazing artists like yourself, and just coming tonight and letting people know even about how, the kinds of supplies they can get and materials for the arts are valuable for making art is great because folks, it's got free supplies. So and share it, let people know this conversation will be live. People, you can check it out in the future. And share it. So thank you so much, Konstance.
Thank you. That
We
was
will
so
look
fun.
forward. Yeah, we see you in the future, and
Yeah.
we'll keep sharing the good work that you do. And thanks everyone for joining us.
Bye.
We'll see you next time.
Bye. Have a
Bye.
nice night, y'all. Peace.
Night.